Hello and welcome to Mickey Art. My name is Michelle Edhouse and today I'm going to show you how to transfer an inkjet silhouette onto a canvas without Mod Podge or any of those other things. Now this is a very old-fashioned method of doing things, and it's not going to be an exact replica, but this is for those of you that consider you can't draw but would love to put something onto your painting. And you know, when I first started painting, like my original start in painting, I used to paint pieces that were just a very basic background and then put a silhouette over them, and it was highly effective, like sunsets with a silhouette of an elephant walking, or a girl swinging on a swing. So I'm going to transfer this little garden sprite, who in this picture has got a rose, but I'm going to change that to a dandelion and have some dandelion bits off here. Now this is a canvas which was done in video number 15, and I love it as a background, but it really hasn't attracted anyone as a foreground. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to put this onto there and let's see what we can create. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to do is, it's not a transfer, so it doesn't have to be the reverse. What it is we're tracing. I know, old-fashioned. Some of you may even have somewhere in your things an old carbon sheet, and if you've got one of those, awesome. If not, you don't need it. So all we're going to do is we're going to turn our piece over, and you can just slightly see the outline of the picture. And you can take any picture, it doesn't have to be a silhouette, and draw the silhouette of it. What I've found by taking a silhouette is that you already know exactly what it's going to look like. Now all we're going to do is we're going to get a pencil and we're going to make a layer of carbon over the whole entire painting, picture. Oops, I've not got a very smooth surface under here. Let me find something a little bit smoother. And let's just rub carbon all over the back of the image. Now, as you can see, maybe you can't see, there is a slight amount of this printer ink coming off onto this piece of paper, but nowhere near enough to make an image on our canvas. So the smoother and thicker and darker and more even you can get your image, your layer of carbon, the better results you're going to get. And if you want to go over a number of times so that you've got more and more and more and more carbon there, awesome. Now what I would like to show you as part of this is there are different types of pencils. Now this one that I'm using here is a artist carbon pencil, and you know, you can buy them from anything where that sells art pencils. This one is a standard HB pencil like the kids use at school, and this one's a builder's pencil, and it's medium. Now what I'm going to show you with these is I'm just going to do a patch of each of these, and they have different types of lead in them. the lead being carbon based mostly. And depending on the shape of the lead, depends on how easy you get a thing. Now if I turn that over, I'm just going to do a line through each of those, and you can see there's a real dramatic difference in the quality of the line that I've got. So this is we went through like that, didn't we? So give your pencils a go, see which ones create the best results. For me, I find that the Artist Carbon pencil creates the best results, and that's why I'm using that one specifically in this example. Now what I tend to do is actually go both ways, and that kind of fills in some of those. Oh, there's a lumpy bit under there. Crikey me. Fills in some of the areas that didn't get done going the other way, because you've got texture in your paper, and your pencil lead is only going to go so far. So now if I hold it up to the light, you can see the image through the paper, and that I have covered the whole of that image with the lead. I might actually take it a little bit further out around the edges, because you don't want to be drawing especially if it's a picture that's got quite intricate pieces, you don't want to get to the end of it, lift your piece of paper off and realise that, oh no, I didn't get a clear image. Alright, so next step. So here we have our painting, and I'm choosing with this painting to have my canvas this way around. Now let's see, can I just tilt my computer to make me... I've actually put this on my computer and sorted it out, but you don't need to do that. That's just my way of doing it, and I'm a bit of a computer geek, and I have all the I have all the software and all the capacities to do it. So I've actually made this image exactly the right size, and it sits on my canvas perfectly. I've drawn a box around it so that I know where I want it to be, and there it is. Now, very important part of this is to actually make sure your paper stays steady on the image, on the canvas, and so it doesn't go moving around. And we're just going to take a sharp point and go around all the edges. And it doesn't have to be perfect, because it's just pencil lead that's coming through onto the canvas, and it's not very dark. It's just going to be dark enough for us to be able to see. One of the cool things about doing this is it gives you the outline to work on, which gives you all the information about placement, size, shape, all of that stuff without it needing to be hand drawn, hand-eye coordination. You know, I've done a lot of work on my points of view about being able to draw. I grew up as a computer geek, and I'm still a computer geek, but I had the point of view that I could not draw. And I had that point of view even when I started to paint. You know what, I'm just actually gonna go around so you can see that this is kind of got levels, and I don't really need to go through all of this, but how thick is that line there? How far up do I need to go on that? How thick is that line? Where is that line? So as you see, I'm just outlining the big lines. You can go through and do it really intricately if you want to. But this is how I got my start in art. I traced everything. I really did. So now when I take this off, and make sure that I can, you can just see there our little head with the nose, and then the hand coming up, and the leg and the foot. So I've got those shapes to follow. So what am I going to do next? I'm going to just go through and just highlight those a little bit more, just so that they're very clear, so that when I pick up my paintbrush, I'm not going to be trying to work out where I'm supposed to be painting. So you might be thinking, oh Michelle, this is a bit long-winded. But you know what's really cool about this process is it's really quite meditative. And I was watching Anne-Marie Ridderhoff doing her transfer video the other day, and I love the idea of doing transfers. That sounds fantastic, but I do not have a laser printer, and I certainly am not interested in having to go and get things printed off on a laser printer and pay somebody to print them for me. So this is my method, this is how I do it. And so for those of you that also don't have laser printers, I'm offering it to you. So the next part is to paint it. So I'm going to find myself some paints and some paintbrushes, and I'll be right back. Okay, so what I've done is I've got a little bit of my pre-mixed Mars Black, and I've squirted it out onto one of my tin lids. Now, why am I using my pre-mix? Because it's a nice flow. It draws a pretty straight, nice, gentle line. It's not a thick, globby paint that you've then got to spread. And what I do highly recommend is you keep your hands, look at that, make sure your hands and everything are clean, so that when you're picking up your painting, you're not getting extra paint accidentally onto your painting, you really, you know, you've got this beautiful background, which with acrylic pouring like we do, honestly, icky. You don't want to be trying to touch that up where you've made a mess. So from that perspective, I'm actually going to start from the left and move to the right so that I'm not rubbing my hand over. And I've still got my original piece sitting here as a reference point. Alright, so the other thing to be aware of when you're doing this is go through and do the outlines and then let it dry, come back and do the finer detail. That's totally fine too. Now when you're choosing a picture to copy, please be aware of copyright infringement. You know, if you are going to be selling your product, you need to be aware that if you're downloading images from the internet and then using them, if you get caught doing it, you can get sued. Right? Highly not recommended at all. There are rules about how much you can copy and what that looks like, and how much you need to change for it no longer to be considered a copy. So if you are duplicating other people's images, please, 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 please honor them. If the image that you're wanting to use is for sale as an image, honor them by buying it. If it's just for you and it's just, you know, nobody's really ever gonna see it, you might choose to get away with it, but please honor other artists. Alright, so what I want you to see is how when I've painted it, I've actually bent the knee there, but in the picture the knee comes up above the arm, so I actually need to bring that up so that it, and I've curved this line here which needed to actually be not curved. So this is how we fix it. We get ourselves a clean brush, and before the paint sets, get a clean damp brush and just scrub in that spot. Rinse your brush, dry it off, and collect that paint up. And we need to do the same on this side as well, because I've messed it up a bit. But I'm glad I did, because I got to show you how to fix it when you mess up. Okay. So when I'm doing this sort of thing, I always seal my original painting, or make sure that my original painting is completely dry, you know, like a couple of weeks. And then I know that if I mess up and I have to do this, I'm not actually going to be scrubbing my background paint off. I'm just going to be scrubbing off my new paint. Okay. So now we can go back in and get that knee to look right. And then the wrist to look right. And the arm to look right. Okay, so now we've got that cleaned up. And in some of the bigger areas, if you're using the watered down paint like I am, you may need to come back over and just, you know, let it dry for a little bit and then come back over and put another quick coat. If you're really quick, just like that, you can get it almost all back off again with a dry brush or an almost dry brush, and take it back to further behind where you want the line to be, so that you can come back out and recreate that line. So now he's got a sunken chest. My little boy spirit. And I can bring that chest line back through. Like that. The other cool thing about using the liquid paint rather than a thicker paint, if you're working on a canvas like this and you're trying to do really thin lines, it allows you to scoot over the top and it drops into the canvas. Now if you look at this piece closely, and if you remember when I was drawing it, I actually drew some more up here in pencil. And I'm not even going to rub those out. Why? Because they kind of disappeared into the distance, and if somebody notices them, they'll go, oh wow, look at the depth in that picture. So we've got the basics there. Now I'm going to turn it around so I'm not rubbing my hand over the big part, and just come back in and put some depth into the wings, put some design into the wings. And you can keep, you know, refer back if you want. You can totally copy the wings completely if you wanted to do it like that. One of the things that I had to get over when I started painting was the intense desire to get it right, to have it perfect, to have everything symmetrical. Now, I mean, you'll notice that I'm going in with tiny little strokes here and there just to touch things up and make it add to it. But it's the difference between whether it's adding to it or whether you're going OCD on it and doing your own head in, trying to get it right. Now, I remember somebody saying to me, you should only view art from 6 feet away. Now, some of you will have heard different numbers, but quite honestly, when you stand back, when a painting is on a wall and you stand back from it, there are things you will notice. And there are things that will never ever be seen by anybody. So if you are feeling yourself going into a wonky headspace about your painting, wait till it's dry enough, obviously, because you don't want it running off the canvas. But hang it on the wall. Step back, have a look at it, see what people will see. You know, time and time again you'll hear artists say, oh, I put it away in the cupboard for 6 months, and then when I came back to it, it only took about 5 brush strokes and I was finished. Because they no longer have that point of view of how perfect it has to be, of how intricate it needs to be, and they can see it for what it actually is rather than what they have in their head as what should be. So there you go, guys. I just painted a painting from a picture with no special talents other than the capacity to scrub some pencil on the back of the paper, draw around it, and then follow those lines. So please, please, please give it a go. Try it on something that you've just on a blank piece of paper even. Just give it a go, give it a try. And if you do choose to pop it on a painting, as I said, make sure that the original painting is completely dry. This, as I said, this was done in 2017. We're now heading into June 2018. It has been dried, finished, sealed, the whole works. This has got varnish on it, and I'm painting over the varnish. So just know, at this point, you can't screw it up, because you can always wash it off. And just give it a go. Silhouettes are brilliant to start you off with. How does it get any better than this? I adore you. Thank you for watching. And what else is possible if you are choosing for you? I'll talk to you soon. Bye.